This is week 5 of our so-called bread series, and therefore the last. We made it. And now it gets serious. After feeding the 5,000 with literal bread, Jesus urged the crowd to seek spiritual bread. He called it true food, bread from heaven, bread of life, the bread of God, living bread, and real food. And in a mysterious paradox that has confused people ever since, Jesus said that we discover this spiritual bread in his physical body. Just as he compared himself to living water that quenches our parched souls, Jesus called himself the living bread that satisfies our deepest hungers. The ancient Hebrews ate miraculous manna from heaven in the desert, says Jesus, but nevertheless they died. The 5,000 who were fed by Jesus and his disciples with an abundance of leftovers were nonetheless hungry the next morning. In this stark contrast, Jesus says that he is the bread that came down from heaven. The one who eats this bread will live forever. And this bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Even today, this is my flesh, this is my body given for you, and this is my blood shed for you, sounds straight out of a story like the silence of the lambs, rather than a ritual of love and forgiveness. Without understanding the whole context of what Jesus said, the deeper meaning, and how Jesus' story developed, from teaching and healing to a shared meal, to the cross, to a tomb, and then through death to life. Without understanding all this, the words, "This is my flesh, my body given for you, this is my blood shed for you," are hard to understand, and excuse my choice of word, hard to digest. No wonder the confirmants always ask me if I'm certain that we are not a group of cannibals. And even now, after 2,000 years of teaching and living in a culture that has thoroughly been formed and transformed by Christian teaching, these words are not easy to understand and digest. You can only imagine how you would have reacted hearing Jesus teach in the synagogue at Capernaum. Jesus said, "Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood abide in me, and I in them. Just as the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so whoever eats me will live because of me." If you were an observant Jew, this was the moment to leave. Eating human flesh and drinking blood are strictly prohibited in the Torah. And even his own disciples had to acknowledge, this teaching is difficult. Who can accept it? And because of this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer went about with him. So Jesus asked the 12, "Do you also wish to go away?" Were you ever in a moment where you had to choose? And I don't mean the tough question of having ice cream or crème brûlée for dessert. For me, it's always crème brûlée. No, I mean a really difficult question, like moving or stay. Stay at home or work, life or death, relationship or job, acting who you would like to be and appearing always to be on the sunny side, or admitting defeat and failure but learning to be true to yourself. Children or no children, marriage or divorce. I mean the choices where you cannot have both or satisfy everyone. Real choices with real consequences. The people that leave Jesus after his teachings are identified in the text as his disciples. They know Jesus. This is not their first encounter with a loony wilderness teacher. They have built a relationship. They have left a life behind to follow him. They have left work, family, houses to walk with him. They have shared meals. He has fed them, taught them, healed them, and loved them. But this is too much. To be able to accept this teaching, those who eat my flesh and drink my blood, they need something more. something deeper than just being okay with what Jesus is teaching. They need to be able to choose discipleship as the way to live their lives. And discipleship means working with and through hard teachings and not being affronted by the first appearance of their meaning. And it means trusting that in essence, there must be love in them. Throughout the whole of Jesus' life, as we know it from the 4 Gospels, Jesus never claims that his teaching is easy, and he doesn't make it easy to follow him. A young man gets the advice that he has to sell all his possessions if he wants to follow Jesus. And the story goes, he went away sadly because he had many possessions. Many people Jesus lets wander off with their question unanswered and their doubts unresolved. Why? Because he's honest. His teaching is hard. It's glorious, life-giving, blessed, but also very hard. I have seen and experienced rejection of God often enough. During my clinical pastoral education in a hospital, I was shown the door because the patient didn't want to have anything to do with someone from the church, because the church was responsible for the witch hunts. In my own family, I'm the only active church member. One sister left for a different faith. The other because the church as an institution failed to connect her to her faith, which is an increasing dilemma in Germany. My mother is leaving because of the bad and slow process of investigating sexual abuse cases in the Protestant church in Germany. And my brother openly tells me that he doesn't want to have to do anything with the church, but he's the only one in my family still continuing to pay church taxes for the good cause. But it is a lot of money to pay for something where the inner conviction is not there. And I have a hard time to be affronted by their choices. To be honest, I don't think that what Jesus had in mind was that mass religion that Christianity became through centuries of conquering, forced conversions, mass baptism, and institutionalized power monopoly. Yes, we are called to go into the world and baptize everyone. It's written right there. But with the same choice that Jesus gave his disciples. Do you also want to go? Because you can. It would make me sad, truly, but you are free to go. Choosing discipleship means choosing God. And according to Jesus, that means eating his very essence, taking the incarnation so deeply into our own bodies and souls that we exude the flavor of Christ into the world. It means doing what Jesus did and living like Jesus lived. It means turning the other cheek. It means loving our enemies, walking the extra mile, losing our lives in order to gain them. It means trusting that the first will be last and the last first. It means seeking God's righteousness and God's kingdom. It means denying ourselves. It means the cross. Tempting, huh? As baptized, we live in the tension between two amazing and paradoxical truths. Firstly, that God has always and already chosen us, and that this will never change. Secondly, that we are invited to make the choice if we want to be God's beloved. And not only at the baptismal font or on one special day, but every day over and over again. And both of these choices are foundational truths. Only to adhere to one would diminish and distort the gospel. So many disciples left Jesus, and he didn't hinder them. He knew it was a lot, and it was too much for many. And sad, he turned to Peter and asked, "Do you also wish to go away?" And Peter did something unexpected. From how he's often depicted, you would think he would answer passionately, "Never would I leave you, Jesus, never." But do you want me to go after those non-believers and hurt them? But he doesn't do that. And I have to admit, Peter's growing on me. Instead, he replies with a question himself. Lord, to whom can we go? This is no enthusiastic or flattering reply. It is a searching question that points to the lack of alternatives. What else is there? Your teachings are hard, but they have life in them. You are life itself. To whom else would we? To whom else could we go? What does it mean to choose God? What has it meant to you in the past? And what does it mean to you now? It is a question we must keep asking ourselves because the choice never goes away. Choose today, choose tomorrow, choose the day after that. Keep choosing because God has chosen. God always and already has chosen us. And now it's our turn.